Okay, evidence that US space agency NASA has defrauded US taxpayers. This came to me by ESETI News again. So if you want to try and source it, you'll probably have to subscribe. So if you go to eseti.org, if I can find the article for you, I'll put a hyperlink up on your top right hand side in more info. I'll also put that website up in more info so you can find it. I'll try and help you out so you can find it and read it yourself instead of listening to me. Read it out. If you don't want to listen to me, read it out. That's fine. Now, the article goes, evidence that US space agency NASA has defrauded US taxpayers for billions of dollars could scrap NASA's case against UK hacker Gary McKinnon. Credible witnesses have claimed that NASA has altered or destroyed its photos containing images of UFOs. This could become a legal and public relations nightmare for NASA. The space agency is attempting to prosecute McKinnon for hacking into NASA computer files. McKinnon has stated that he saw UFO-related files in NASA's computers, but NASA has denied any cover-up. NASA's claim of innocence faces a serious challenge. Some of the whistleblowers are former NASA employees and contractors with inside knowledge of NASA's operation. If NASA's destruction of public property is confirmed, the alleged cost of McKinnon's hacking would be insignificant compared to NASA's annual funding of more than $17 billion. Even worse, NASA's year 2000 mission statement boasted that it is ethical and honest in all that they do. Part of NASA's mission is to look for signs of intelligent life in outer space. So asking for more money to look after they've already destroyed evidence that they found is not going to be easy. Among these whistleblowers are US Air Force Sergeant Carl Wolf, former NASA employee Donna Hare, and former NASA engineer John Schuessler. Wolf and Hare exposed some of NASA's misdeeds at the May 9, 2001 Disclosure Project press conference in Washington, D.C. They both offered to give similar testimony before the US Congress. According to the Disclosure Project, Donna Hare had a secret clearance while working for NASA contractor, Philco Ford. She testifies that she was shown a photo of a picture with a distinct UFO. Her colleague explained that it was his job to airbrush such evidence of UFOs out of photographs before they were released to the public. She also heard information from other Johnson Space Center employees that some astronauts had seen extraterrestrial craft and that when some of them wanted to speak out about this, they were threatened. See Hare's testimony at 100 minutes and 10 seconds, I'm guessing this is, 100:10 minutes into the May 9, 2001 Disclosure Project press conference. Sergeant Carl Wolf was in the Air Force for 4.5 years, beginning in January 1964. He had a top-secret crypto clearance and worked with the Tactical Air Command at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. While working at a NSA National Security Agency facility, he was shown photographs taken by the lunar orbiter of the moon that showed detailed artificial structures. These photos were taken prior to the Apollo landing in 1969. Wolf's testimony at 57 minutes 50 seconds into the May 9, 2001 Disclosure Project press conference. John Schuessler is a Denver area resident and retired aerospace engineer from Lockheed Martin. He worked at NASA on nearly every manned U.S. spaceflight since its inception. In a March 19, 2008 lecture in Lakewood, Colorado, that looks like, Schuessler talked about seeing an unfamiliar photo from one of the Apollo moon landings. Schuessler said, "I went to a conference in Canada, in Toronto, I think it was, 1982. A guy came up to me and said, I've got this NASA photo, do you recognize this? And it was an Apollo shot, and it was an official lithograph that they released. I've got hundreds of these lithographs. I didn't have that one. And they are all numbered. They have a photograph number on them, and on the back of them is printed the information about what it is. This photograph had a UFO in the background, so as soon as I got back to Houston, I went to the photo lab and told them I'd like to look at the Apollo photos, and we're old friends, you know, so they said, sure, here's the rack of them. I went down through the rack of the Apollo photos and the numbers sequentially, and I got to a series of numbers that this one was in the middle of, and there were no photos. They were all missing. And I said, well, where are these photos? He said, well, it's like all these others. The film was bad, and I had seen the thing firsthand with the NASA printing on it, so I know it came out, but it was withdrawn. Schusler was also the co-founder of MUFON, Mutual UFO Network International, and its past director. It was Schusler's story of the missing NASA UFO photo that was largely responsible for inspiring the ballot initiative to create an extraterrestrial affairs commission in Denver. NASA seems intent on making an example of UK hacker Gary McKinnon. In the end, the public might be intent on making an example of NASA. After all, how can NASA keep getting $17 billion a year during an economic crisis after taxpayers find out NASA has been lying to them for decades and squandering their hard-earned money? The legal experts should ask, is it a crime for someone to hack into a government agency that is committing a much bigger crime? Another sidebar here is, if it's run by the public, shouldn't it be public information? Anyway, there's talk that McKinnon might serve up to 60 to 70 years in prison if found guilty. So what is the maximum sentence for NASA officials if found guilty of defrauding taxpayers? On January 20, a UK judge is expected to make a final decision on McKinnon's extradition to the US. The day Obama got sworn in. That gives NASA less than 1 week to avoid a collision with reality. Earth to NASA, you have a problem. So if you want more from me, just go to youtube.com/thankyouwhitenights or to the hyperlink Thank You White Knights on the top right hand side. If you're on YouTube, you'll see it, the top right hand side of this screen.